Right now, everyone is talking about Max Verstappen leaving Red Bull. Most people think it's just fake news to get clicks, but behind the scenes, a real plan is unfolding that could make this transfer inevitable. Red Bull bosses are in a panic right now, and there's a very serious reason for it. If you look at the recent races, Red Bull is losing ground fast. Their car is nowhere near as fast as it was last year. McLaren and Mercedes have caught up and are starting to dominate. Max is constantly complaining on the radio, and the team atmosphere is incredibly tense. Before we get into the secret details of Max's contract, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Here, we analyze the biggest Formula One stories that official media outlets completely ignore. This whole drama is actually centered around one person. It's Gianpiero Lambiase, Verstappen's longtime race engineer. Max has heard his voice in his headset through every single championship season, and McLaren is currently trying to steal him away in secret. For Max, losing this engineer is a massive blow. Lambiase understands him perfectly and sets up the car to fit his driving style. Without him, Verstappen loses his biggest support system in the team, and McLaren knows exactly where it hurts. This brings us to the main detail that everyone is missing. There is a specific clause in Verstappen's contract with Red Bull. It clearly states that if his key engineer Gianpiero Lambiase leaves the team, Max has the right to terminate his contract immediately and leave for free. This is a brilliant move by McLaren. They aren't just signing the engineer for his skills, they are doing it to trigger Max's escape clause. Once Lambiase signs with McLaren, Verstappen becomes a free agent and can follow him. When Red Bull management realized what McLaren was doing, absolute panic broke out. Losing chief designer Adrian Newey was already a massive blow to their aerodynamics, but losing both Lambiase and Verstappen at the same time would completely destroy the team. Christian Horner is reportedly doing everything he can to stop this. He is offering Lambiase a massive pay raise and a higher position within the team, but money might not be enough to fix the deeper political issues inside Red Bull right now. Max is extremely frustrated with how the team has handled the car development. He feels that internal politics have distracted them from winning races. For him, it's not about the money anymore. He just wants a car that can actually fight for wins. For a long time, everyone expected Max to join Mercedes. Toto Wolff openly flirted with the idea for months. But recently, the situation changed completely. Toto closed the door on Verstappen, and the reason is a young rookie. Kimi Antonelli has taken the Formula One world by storm. In his debut season with Mercedes, he is actually leading the championship. Toto Wolff publicly stated he is extremely happy with his driver lineup and has no room for Max. Ferrari is also not an option. Lewis Hamilton made the shocking move to Maranello, locking down their main seat alongside Charles Leclerc. This leaves Max with only one realistic destination if he wants a fast car: McLaren. But McLaren has a major problem of its own. They currently have the strongest driver pairing on the grid with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Both are extremely talented, and both have long-term contracts. If Max joins McLaren, someone has to leave. Rumors suggest that Red Bull might try to sign Oscar Piastri as a replacement for Verstappen. This would lead to a direct swap between the two teams, creating the wildest driver market chaos in history. F1 fans on Reddit and social media are absolutely losing their minds over this theory. Some believe it's a brilliant move by McLaren boss Zak Brown, while others think it will completely destroy McLaren's internal team harmony. Max has remained quiet about these rumors, but his body language in the paddock speaks volumes. He looks tired of defending against faster cars every weekend. The next few weeks before the summer break will be critical. To understand why Max is so desperate to leave, we need to look at the new 2026 engine regulations. This season, F1 made a massive shift, forcing teams to get 50% of their power from electric batteries. And this is where Red Bull's biggest nightmare began. For the first time in history, Red Bull decided to build their own engine in collaboration with Ford. It was a massive gamble. While experienced manufacturers like Mercedes and Ferrari perfected their technology, Red Bull had to start almost from scratch in Milton Keynes. And the results on track have been devastating. We've already seen multiple mechanical DNFs for Red Bull this season due to engine cooling leaks and battery failures. Max has been forced to retire from races while running in solid positions, which is completely unacceptable for him. Even when the engine doesn't blow up, the power delivery is highly inconsistent. Max has openly complained about the calibration and how the battery deploys energy on long straights. Compared to the bulletproof Mercedes engine, the Red Bull Ford unit looks raw and unfinished. But the engine is only half the problem. The new RB22 chassis has massive balance issues. The car suffers from extreme understeer and slow corners, which quickly destroys the front tires. Max literally cannot push the car to its limits because it has no grip. On top of that, the new active aerodynamic system has turned F1 cars into a technical headache. Drivers now have to switch between cornering and straight line modes during a single lap. Red Bull's system has been unstable, making the car super dangerous at high speeds. It gets even worse when you look at upcoming fast tracks like Spa, because the new engines lose electric power on long straights. Data suggests these F1 cars might actually be slower on the straights than Formula 2 cars. The entire paddock is laughing at this technical disaster. Meanwhile, McLaren has handled the transition to the new rules perfectly. Their chassis is incredibly stable, and their Mercedes customer engines are both powerful and reliable. For Max, jumping to McLaren is his only chance to stop wasting his prime years in a slow car. Zak Brown is playing chess while Red Bull is playing checkers. By quietly targeting Lambiase, McLaren didn't just look for a good engineer. They knew exactly how the contract loophole worked. They designed this trap perfectly to force Red Bull's collapse. If Lambiase officially signs the paperwork with McLaren in the coming weeks, the F1 driver market will explode. Red Bull will lose their mastermind engineer and their legendary driver in one single day, marking the ultimate end of their dominant era. With Max potentially leaving, Red Bull is desperately looking for a backup plan. They know they cannot afford to enter the next season without a top-tier driver. Behind closed doors, Helmut Marko is already calling managers, trying to figure out who is actually available on the market. To make matters worse, Sergio Perez is having another nightmare season. His performance has dropped so low that Red Bull can no longer rely on him to score consistent points, let alone lead the team. If Max leaves, keeping Perez would be a total suicide for the team. This is why Red Bull's primary target right now is Oscar Piastri. The young Australian has shown incredible maturity and speed at McLaren. Christian Horner wants to offer Piastri a massive contract and promise him the clear #1 status inside Red Bull. Interestingly, Piastri's manager is Mark Webber, a former Red Bull driver who knows the team inside out. Webber knows exactly how brutal the environment in Milton Keynes can be, but he also knows that a #1 seat in a top team is a rare opportunity. If the Piastri deal falls through, Red Bull's only other realistic option is Carlos Sainz. Sainz has plenty of experience and a proven track record. However, his past relationship with Max and Jos Verstappen during their Toro Rosso days left some deep scars. No matter who Red Bull chooses, this transition will trigger a massive legal battle. Corporate lawyers from Red Bull, McLaren, and Mercedes are already looking at every single word in these contracts, trying to find loopholes to block these driver movements. There is also a massive financial risk involved. Major sponsors like Oracle pay hundreds of millions of dollars to be associated with Max Verstappen, not just the Red Bull brand. If Max leaves, the team could face a serious budget crisis right before the new era. We cannot forget the role of Jos Verstappen. Max's father has been openly critical of Christian Horner all year. Jos is the one pushing hardest for the McLaren move, believing that Red Bull's management has completely ruined the team's winning culture. The team is now deeply divided. Some mechanics and engineers are loyal to Horner, while others are loyal to the Verstappen camp. This toxic internal war is destroying their focus on the current championship, allowing McLaren to pull even further ahead. We are rapidly approaching the breaking point. The upcoming races before the summer break will decide the future of Formula One for the next 5 years. Max is forced to make the biggest decision of his career, and time is quickly running out for Red Bull. But is Max actually ready to make this jump? Leaving the team that built his entire legacy is a massive emotional hurdle. He has won all his championships in blue overalls. Swapping them for McLaren orange would be the ultimate plot twist in F1 history. If Max moves to McLaren and wins another title, he will solidify his status as one of the greatest of all time. Winning with 2 different teams is a rare achievement that only legends like Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton have pulled off. However, entering McLaren won't be a walk in the park. Lando Norris has spent years building this team around himself. He is not going to easily step aside and let Max become the undisputed #1 driver without a massive fight. A Verstappen-Norris lineup could easily turn into a toxic civil war, similar to Hamilton and Rosberg at Mercedes. While Zach Brown thinks he is building a dream team, he might actually be planting a bomb inside his own garage. The summer break is traditionally when these massive contract announcements are made. With the paddock buzzing with rumors and lawyers working overtime, we might get official confirmation much sooner than anyone expects. Inside sources claim that verbal agreements are already in place. All that's missing is the official signature on the paper. The dominoes are ready to fall, and once the first one goes, the entire F1 grid will change forever. So what do you think? Will Max actually leave Red Bull to join McLaren with his engineer? Or is this just the biggest bait in Formula One history? Drop your predictions in the comments below and let's talk about it.